Hey guys, come on in. Let's talk about the month in fragrance. This time it's December 2022, and we'll take a little bit of a look here at what we've got. I've got some construction going on here with my shelves and such, and I'll be adding some as we go on here on this channel. I think I had about 25 or 26 different fragrances this month. Considerably less than I'll normally have. I think I wore a couple of things a couple of times this month, and I've also sold a couple of items too since putting them up on this shelf. So, nothing is safe in this house. There's always the chance that I'm going to move something and just, go in a different direction. It happens. It happens quite a bit. There's a lot of turnover with my collection, and that's just part of the hobby, I feel like, especially with the stage that I'm in. This month, I really wanted to kind of get into more freshies for whatever reason during the month of December. I wouldn't normally do that, but you can kind of take a look here and see some freshies stand out, fragrances that I wouldn't normally wear during the month of December. I still had the usual suspects though too, fragrances that you'll see year after year during this time of year. But of course, there are going to be some freshies, and I actually made it a point to do that. I don't really do the opposite in most cases. I won't wear my heavier fragrances in, say, like the month of July or August or anything like that. Maybe fall fragrances occasionally here and there during August, but nothing too heavy. And as some of you might know, the requirement to get up on this shelf is either a scent of the day or a fragrance I've tried out more than once on my skin during that month. So something I've worn at least twice on my skin, just testing it out. It's got to be more than once though, because I test out so many different things during any given month. It's got to be more than once at least. So let's start down here like we always do. Right here at the bottom, you'll see Encre Noire All Extreme. Fragrance I just don't reach for much anymore, and I kind of wish I did. It's just for one reason or another, I don't reach for it. But that was one that would always make a top 10 for me in years past during the winter months. Right there is Prada L'Homme Intense, the now discontinued Prada L'Homme Intense. That is Allure Homme from Chanel. Nostalgic fragrance for me, late 90s. Right behind that is Mandarina Duck Black. And then we have Zaharoff, Signature Pour Homme next to it. And then Mandarina Duck Black Extreme right there. In the back, a couple of freshies. That is Cerruti Image, one of my holy grail fragrances from the late 90s. And then right next to it is Moschino Uomo, a real nice cheapy fragrance. That's a big bottle. I think that might even be the 4.2 ounce bottle. You can get those for around $30 US. Really nice late 90s fragrance. Let's come back up here up front, another freshie Bulgari's Tiger. Right behind it is Azzaro Chrome. And then right next to it is Frank Olivier's Blue Touch. That's an Acqua di Gio inspired fragrance. Up here in front, we have Tom Ford Noir Extreme. That's the Eau de Parfum. And then next to it is Noir Extreme the Parfum. That's a fragrance I wore a couple of times this month. Wanted to test it out. I am gonna do a compare and contrast video between these two fragrances right here. I've been meaning to do that, but I kind of had my eyes set on January to put that video out. In the back, Armaf's Legacy, a clone fragrance inspired by Chanel's Platinum Egoiste. I've talked about that one here a couple of times recently. Sauvage Parfum. I'm almost finished with that bottle. I don't know if you can see it there, but the amount of juice remaining in that bottle, there's not a lot. I'm not a huge fan of the Sauvage line, but I do love the Parfum version. And that's a fragrance I wear every year now in the month of December. I think that was even in my December recommendations video too. In the back, one I talk about quite a bit on this channel is Parfums de Marly Wajon. And then up front, one of my favorite rose fragrances from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. That is L'Homme à la Rose. Tom Ford's Effing Fabulous. H24, the Eau de Parfum, right back there. And we have Amen's Pure Tonka, that pour bottle taken out of its rubber sleeve. And then my last couple of rows over here to the side, Chanel Jersey. Next to it is Midnight Oud. I think that was in my October recommendations fragrance. That's one that's inspired by Homage Interlude Man. So if you're familiar with Interlude Man, that's a very nice and inexpensive fragrance clone right there. On the end, the ever controversial Armaf's Club de Nuit Intense Man. And in the back here, another one of my late 90s Holy Grail fragrances. That's Liz Claiborne Candies for Men. That was a fragrance you could buy back in the late 90s for, I'd want to say around $30 or so, depending on the size of the bottle you would get. And now, oh, they're very scarce and prices are ridiculous on that fragrance. Right next to it, Mercedes-Benz Club Black. And then another cheapie back there by Perry Ellis, that is M. Okay guys, let's pan back here, take a look at the month in fragrance for December and see what we have here. The two fragrances, I think there were two or three. The two that I wore a couple of times this month, I already mentioned this one, Noir Extreme Parfum from Tom Ford, L'Homme à la Rose from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and Effing Fabulous from Tom Ford. That was actually my New Year's Eve fragrance this year. That's a specialty fragrance for me. It's a very formal style. One of those that, just kind of special occasions, I'll pull that one out. I've kind of noticed over the years, 30 ml bottles from Tom Ford, especially with the private blends, I'm okay with the 30 ml bottles, especially when they're like this, that fragrance, that perfume, where they're a little bit more, I guess a lot of people say challenging. Not necessarily that, because I don't consider Effing Fabulous a real challenging fragrance. So something you would wear maybe more for special occasions, a date night, movie night, something that feels a little bit more dressed up, if you will. And that's what that one is for me. Wore that one on New Year's Eve. And I think the other fragrance that I wore a couple of times this month was also in my December recommendations video. It's right back there, Mandarina Ducks Black Extreme. So fragrances that stood out to me this month, which ones would they be? Of course, this one right back here, Wajon from Parfums de Marly, always stands out for me. Spicy, gourmand, honey, lightly floraled, mostly a very warm, cozy gourmand fragrance. Always stands out for me whenever I wear it. And a fragrance that I wore for Christmas this year, second year in a row, that's Mercedes-Benz Club Black. That's one of my favorite vanilla amber fragrances. I mean, you could basically consider Wajon a vanilla amber too. One of the best bang for your bucks as far as vanilla fragrances go. Probably purchased that for around 50 to 60 US dollars. That's a really good deal if you like those kind of unisex, warm and cozy vanilla amber fragrances. But there you have it, guys. That's a look at my month in fragrance for December 2022. And like I mentioned before, I will have that Noir Extreme comparison video coming up here pretty soon. So expect to see that in the next couple of weeks. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll talk to you soon.